So I just bought an 80-year-old motorcycle in original condition, sight unseen. It's pulling across the bridge right now, and we're getting ready to lay our eyes on it for the very first time. The bike's a 1949 Harley-Davidson WL, and we've got a pile of machines so similar to this machine inside the museum. This one stood out because from what I understand, it's completely original. So here's the thing, this bike hasn't run in over 30 years. Today, the task at hand is to take a look at the bike, see exactly how original this machine is. Of course, we're gonna try to get it fired up and running. Then we'll be able to determine, was this a good deal or not? All right, here it is. Looks nice and crusty. Definitely not original paint though. What's up, man? You guys talking to on the phone?
Yes, sir.
Matt.
Terrence.
Terrence, nice to meet you, man. Pleasure. Okay, it's been painted. And
so would that have been the original?
Nah, you know what? I think this is a new fender, like a reproduction fender. And the reason is see how that's one piece right there? Where this is three piece with the other side, you feel that ribbon there? That's okay. Missing a rear chain, cool luggage rack. I think all these are original too, it's just faded out chrome. Oh, it's got a nice VIN number. That number you said, that's factory. So you said it kicks over?
It's not locked.
Oh yeah, it ain't locked up.
I knew that much. I didn't know much past that.
Yeah, sure
but
thing,
it's not
man.
Locked.
So where'd you get it?
So I pulled it out of a barn in Lozella, Georgia.
Lozella, Georgia. Yeah, and you said you were into street glides and...
I do a lot of service trades. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. This time, they kind of approached me with it, and when they did, it was on a 2020 street glide.
Okay.
I went in there, I looked at the street glide, I sat down on the street glide and went to push it out of the garage to get a better look at it. When I did, there this sits. So I was like, anybody want to tell me if this is for sale? By the time I whittled the deal, we did some dealings on the street glide, this bike, and a 96 Heritage.
Okay.
I was just honored to be able to pull it out that barn. I went home telling the wife, and she's to the point now with the trade, and she's like, all right, you're either gonna hit it big or I'm gonna leave now.
I've been there.
I bring all kind of stuff in the yard for no reason.
Well, I dig it. It's up my alley. I love making stuff like this run. You wanna get it unloaded?
Yeah, most
Okay.
definitely. Let's do it.
Yeah, good deal. All right. Wonder what color that is. Whatever's underneath this is like modern primer. I think it'll run though. Let's see.
That would be super cool if you get it running.
Oh yeah. Uh-oh.
Most of the time it runs in my house, I think.
Yeah. It's got good compression. All right. Well, let's roll it up on the patio over here. Good deal. So, spent a little bit of time with Terrence. He'd never been here before, so we fired up some bikes. They're back on their way home, and Chris and I are digging in to this 49 WL. So the fellow that told me about this bike and introduced me to Terrence told me the bike was original paint. Obviously, it's not original paint. This thing's been redone at some point in its life. It looks kind of rough, but has a ton of redeeming qualities. I'm real happy so far. In fact, it's not original paint, no big deal. Ton of really great original parts on here. And then some aftermarket stuff too. You know, we pointed out the emblems are, I think those are new emblems. Yeah, the way they come out there. New front fender, but the bike's got the look, and hopefully after Chris and I breathe a little life into this thing, it's gonna run better than it looks. So as it stands so far, without knowing if and how the bike runs, you know, I'm pretty happy with what we're looking at.
Yeah, I mean, it's still a great example of an old bike. All the changes and stuff that those guys would do throughout the years, you know, change the paint, things like that.
Those tires are terrible.
But you love white balls.
But anyway, the bike looks like it's been sitting in a damp shed or garage for a long time.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of got all this, you know, all this black paint's kind of just faded away here. Yeah. You know, obviously major dampness. You know, the rubber's kind of rotted out, but still there. So the WL engine, 750 cc's or 45 inches, 3-speed transmission. They ran this model. The Harley 45 is the longest running motor aside from the Sportster that they ever produced, 1929 and 1973 in various forms. So the WL started in 37 and ran through 52. 49, you don't see a lot of them, you know, and you're moving to that point where people are just on to the bigger bikes. And while the Panhead in 49 carried that Hydroglide front end, the 45s were still springers in front. Now this Springer, yeah, I'm not quite sure what's up with this Springer. Well, you know, a Harley 45 has the fork rockers on the inside and the smaller front brake. This has got the Star Hub up front, big front brake. Those are great parts. And I have everything to swap it back over, but the only problem is potentially are the holes in the fork for those rocker studs. They're larger on a big twin. So either this is a 45 fork that's been drilled out, or else it's like potentially a Cervi-car front end where they ran the bigger brake on the Cervi-cars. Really nice bars. I love the bars, and they're straight, which is cool. Welded, inline. When I say inline, I mean the stem here in relation to the outer fork legs here. They went to an offset front end, which actually de-raked the fork a little bit when they went to that bullneck frame on the big twins. 45 always carried the inline. So looks like an original dash, definitely an original switch. The caps are new. What do we got for fuel in here? Oh, there's cream in there. No. It's not the worst, but we're gonna have to take that off. And I know it's your favorite job. Gravel, gas.
Rinse it all out.
Some acetone in there. Yeah, we may. That's going to be the big task on today's episode of The Price is Right.
But we haven't determined that yet.
We haven't determined it yet. Okay. So let's get this thing on the rear stand. We'll take these tanks off. While you're cleaning up the gas tanks, I'll go through the electrical system and make sure that everything's up to snuff there. I think we can probably leave the oil lines. What's that carburetor look like? It seems like the fuel may have been
there was
drained
that came loose really nice. Like it wasn't gummed up at all.
Okay. This is one of those bikes that I don't know if you wash it or not. You know? I love a dirty, greasy, grimy old Survivor with lots of character. And this is that bike. That Speedo doesn't look like the guy ever hooked up the Speedo cable. Yeah. I think that's an old original chrome dash. Little pitting on the inside. Terrence is a picker also. He just does it with new bikes. So he was, like he said, was hunting, what was it, a Street Glide he was looking at, rolling out of the garage, and then this thing popped up right in front of him. This is nice. Fresh, not freshly wired, obviously it's been a long time, but somebody's redone this and it's color coded and looks to be all proper. So that's good. Yeah, and I think we leave the oil tank on. Everything's gonna come off that side. Yeah, I like this. I like this a lot. Go to the top. It's got CP bolts, which appear to be the original type bolts. And that's one of the things about this bike is what we're looking at. It seems like everything, or not everything, but most everything is the proper hardware. So, you know, you've got the right fender mounting bolts here, right rear fender mounting stuff here. This one here's correct bolt. You know, all the right fender hardware up front. So this is, you know, at first glance, when you're looking at the bike, you kind of see this ratty old paint job. You see those funky new later model white wall tires and the replacement Speedo, fresh horn. You raise your eyebrow a little bit, but the deeper you look, at its core, this bike is a pretty darn correct motorcycle. Yeah, all right. Yeah, so cool thing about the Harley 45s, guys, and you may have seen it before. Oil on this side, gas on this side. So this thing has this big, huge bladder that comes over and protrudes into the oil tank. The oil tank is just a shell, holds about, I don't know, maybe 3.5 quarts or 4 quarts. Chris is gonna get started. You might even pour the rest of that acetone in there, let it sit for a minute before we go rinsing it out. I'm gonna go ahead and pull this battery and see if we can't start running through electricals and make sure everything's up to snuff. Interesting, this is a shell. It's been gutted. Bet there's some sort of new battery in there. Ah, that's interesting. There's no point in overcomplicating things, but that'll be nice in case we ever do want to run a different style lithium battery or AGM or something like that. Okay, battery. Fresh shipment of new batteries. So what I'm worried about here is these new batteries have this kind of external side vent, which doesn't really allow for mounting it properly. What we have here is this side vent, which you hook a hose to. Original batteries vented out the caps. This side vent actually catches right there on the lid and doesn't allow the battery to sit all the way down in the box. I don't know what our course of action here is. I think what we may very well do, a lot of guys cut this off, silicone the deal there, and then vent the caps, which is not out of the question. I'll make a phone call real quick. Call Matt Olson.
Hey, dude, how are you?
Hey, what's up, man? What are you up to?
Oh, I'm just having a nice morning. I got your motor video on in the background. It's really good, so.
All right, man. Which motor video?
With the 39, so.
Oh, cool, man. Good deal.
What are you up to?
We're filming right now, and what I'm wondering is, what do you guys do about the side vent batteries, man? Are you guys...
We just put some silicone in them or a plug and then drill the caps.
And drill the caps. What size?
30,000s.
30,000s.
That's been working really good for us lately, and we use the Harley batteries, not the V-twin ones.
Yeah, sure thing.
You can still get them from dealerships, which is amazing.
Looking at the inside of this tank, at the places that I've got this stuff to come off, it really doesn't look that bad. I mean, there's a little bit of rust in here, but we've seen far worse that we've ran without having to put anything in here. So if your tank's not leaking, you don't have pinholes, and there's not something just really atrocious down in the bottom, there's really no need to seal the tank. You can just run it as is. So you can see how small this stuff is coming off in, and that's the inherent problem with this kind of sealer, is that eventually it's going to start breaking down, and then all this small stuff is going to get in your fuel, end up clogging your fuel filter, clogging the shutoff, and then causing other problems along the way.
So I'm telling you, it's got promise. With that wiring, it definitely has promise. So I'm gonna go ahead and raise this thing up. I don't know that you pull the carb first, as dry as everything was, you know? I'm not crazy about the throttle lever here, but if it was together and it was working, I think that's what we're gonna stick with. Yep. Yeah, that's gotta go, and since it's all melted on there, I'm gonna have to clean that off. Let's toss this one. I'm gonna pull the float off the carburetor, I think, just to see what the inside looks like, you know? I'm confident that, man, look at there, every tab, not every tab, but each of the bolts have a tab properly folded over. I feel like this bike was ridden by somebody who knew what they were doing, because it just looks well maintained, even though a few things are incorrect, like the coil. Yeah, I'm worried about the needle and seat here, so we are going to inspect. A little corrosion on the bowl, but that's all right. Oh yeah, there's still gas in it. That ain't no good. I guess he drained it out of the tank and didn't drain it out of the carburetor. Oh, yuck.
Ooh,
Yuck.
what is that?
Grab some paper towels, Chris.
Yeah.
Yuck. What even is that?
It looks like bad antifreeze.
Oh man, that's really bad. Cork float. That wouldn't have worked anyway. Oh no. Well, looks like we are full carb rebuild. So
Just goes to show you why when you drain the tank, You also drained the car.
I know, and that's right. What I said is, how was a tank so nice? Well, he pulled the fuel out of the tank, but this thing had a full float bowl. Pull the whole deal apart. I don't expect the main nozzle to come out for another 30 minutes in the ultrasonic. Would you mind running up and getting the battery charger?
Yeah.
Although, if you also want to get, we have those little blue Harley battery chargers. Yeah, look for that too, because that's really handy.
Yeah.
And to have.
All right.
Okay, great. So let's see, right now it won't come out at all. And what we've got is a little tweak. So this shaft is junk anyway. Yeah, that was our problem. That ain't coming out. Overall, though, the carburetor looks pretty good. There's no stripped holes in any of the carburetor mounting bolts, air filter mounting bolts. That all looks pretty solid. Pull this throttle shaft. It's really nice look. So first things first, we're gonna expedite the process by baking all that nastiness out of there. Listen for the pops. I think we'll run with that. Let it do its work.
So the only place it didn't get was right along the seam, so I just put that rag under there and run that brush along through there. So.
Oh man, you did great.
Yeah.
No, that's fantastic. Okay, we are going to do a quick electrical test while we're at this. All right, here we are. Testing. Hey.
Good sign.
Headlight?
No headlight. Oh, wait, hold on. It came there just barely when you... Yeah, it's just barely there.
Yeah. Yeah, we got taillight though. That's good, man.
You mean you didn't want to rewire this whole bike?
You know what? All right, let's try that brake light again, because this to me seemed like it was frozen in place.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah?
Good.
Nice. Okay, next we're looking for points. What do we got? Okay. Newer set of points. Pretty good. That's 21 thousandths. Uh-oh. Oh. Yeah, just a little corrosion, so we'll get some sandpaper. I think we're a carburetor and a battery.
Yeah.
So and the fuel tank's clean.
Yeah.
Fuel tank's clean, so we can get that sucker remounted. We're also absolutely gonna replace these plugs with our favorites. We're gonna see how this sucker was burning. That was tight. Little rich, but not bad. It's not sooty. It's a little dark. It's not quite a brownish gray. I've sure seen a lot worse. Yeah. Auto lights, 30 gap. Yeah, much nicer plug. These plug wires may be okay. The ends are kind of split and frayed, but that doesn't bug me so much. The wire itself looks pretty solid. The more I've worked on the bike, the better I feel. Finding an old bike and keeping it in your garage is one thing. Maintaining an old bike is another thing. And while the bike has some shortfalls and some things that we wish were different or wish we were a little better, overall the adjustment on just about everything, from the brake light switch, rear brake adjustment feels really nice now. We don't have a chain on it, but all of this stuff seems to work and operate really nicely. The points were adjusted fantastic. The plugs were burning pretty good. So it leaves me with some pretty good hopes that this is gonna go like we planned that it's gonna go. But you guys have seen it change in an instant. Look and get some proper hardware here. I'm gonna swap this lower bolt because the lower bolt is
Okay, I'll just get this top one started.
Well, when we kicked it over outside, it had compression, and I'll be honest, there's nothing to do given the current state other than take the thing completely down. So what is the compression? Does it have 120 pounds of compression? I'm not sure. Does it have enough compression to run? Yes. We're gonna fire it up, see if it runs good, and if it runs really, really poorly, then we're gonna end up having to dive in potentially and see what sort of compression we do have, because in order to do anything about your compression, I mean, you're taking the whole top end down. You got rings, fresh hone job, valve job, which it's just a flathead, so we're hoping it doesn't need it. Okay, we're gonna fill this battery up.
I had this idea for an ATM, but it just gives out coins. If you think about it, it just makes sense.
Oh my God. Try again, sir. That's the worst one yet.
Well, listen, I consider that a great honor.
Right. Somebody got to do it. I'm going to pull it out, wire wheel some of this nastiness off of it, try and get this main nozzle out. That's the trick with some of these carburetors, getting that main nozzle out without damaging it can be really difficult. Oh, wow. We're gonna have to tap that. This just goes to show you what fuel can do to a carburetor. Look at this. This is your needle and seat assembly right here, needle and seat. I mean, that needle is absolutely stuck, not going anywhere. Can't even get it out. This is what fuel will do to a carburetor if it sits and sits and sits. Ugh. So there's basically zero access to the main nozzle. There's no way to get it out. You know, drilling through the top of the carburetor and knocking it out is definitely not an option. So what I tend to do is I end up burning a nozzle. It's a shame, but those are out there and they're available. So you end up tapping into this nozzle inside the carb, and you can see right in here, see this main nozzle? It's stuck, frozen solid. You saw the needle and seat. A pair of pliers wouldn't even separate the needle and seat. Tapping into this main nozzle and then actually pulling it out with a combination of like screws and washers. And then as we pull it, we're gonna add shims. See if it moves at all. Yes. It's pulling it out. Slowly but surely. See that thing working itself out? Okay. Whew. It's always a little nerve-wracking because if you break that sucker off, then you're in trouble. Bingo. Oh, wow, that's as bad as I've ever seen one. Holy smokes. This absolutely would never have even made a pop. Let's find an original nozzle. I know I've got some NOS nozzles. There's an NOS throttle shaft. That's a good part right there. Yeah, we do need a needle and seat. So you got a couple of those. I don't have a float. Robin parts. This is a new old stock M88 military carburetor. YOLO.
You only lingered once.
Yeah, I wish, man. All right, back together she goes. So do we need anything else?
I don't think so. Do
to
you
make
want
this thing run?
Yeah, just oil and gas.
Just oil and gas. Awesome. Now when Terrence dropped this thing off, I'm sure he didn't think it was going to be a matter of hours before we had this bike cranked up, but as you guys know, we don't like to waste any time. So button this carburetor up in T minus however many seconds. Excellent. Chris has one more chance to redeem himself from that terrible joke he told earlier today.
What do you got, Chris?
Just gonna check this oil. Let's make sure it's going down.
It's not very funny.
Yep, right there.
Where?
All right, there he is. There we go. Good. Good, mate. All right, gasket. Here you go.
You maybe take some. You got a
Yeah,
new
take
gasket?
those out.
Yep.
And here's a new gasket. Dang, can you shift it into neutral?
Okay. Okay, is that neutral?
No. Okay.
There we go.
Nope.
Nope.
Nope. Now I'm sitting here freaking out after that.
So that's where neutral should be according to that, but this thing's.
Oh boy.
That says neutral on the shift gate. Oh. Oh.
Dude. Shift. What? We were just kicking this over.
Yeah, you were.
Man, we seen it all, dude. I'm telling you. This, what I think's going on, first off, I didn't like that we can't find neutral,
Yeah.
which we get this far, and that 45 transmission being the culprit would surely be a shame.
Well, it almost makes you wonder back. It's like, is that the reason there was no rear chain on it?
Very likely the reason there's no rear chain. So there's supposed to be neutral right there.
That's locked right there.
What about there? What? Oh no. We got transmission problems, dudes. Man, what's happening is this is potential disaster, and quickly changing my opinion whether this was a good deal or not. The transmission motor sprocket is not free in neutral, and it sure as heck should be. I don't know why it locks up. We are at least set to, I think we run it. Let's run it.
Yeah.
And then go see if we got another transmission. Because if we got another transmission, we'll swap it out. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to get into a full rebuild here.
Now, knowing that, do we want to try to get this filler cap off and
Well, that sucker's got to come apart anyway, man. I'm not even worried about what's in there at the moment. Then what's probably what happened is the guy probably ran out of oil. Probably locked something up inside. Something's not moving. Gosh, what a bummer. What a bummer so far. Anyway, we are, I think, ready to at least run it. Did you get oil in it yet?
yeah, oil's in it. Check
Okay.
the oil line. Oil's to the motor.
Oil's to the motor. Yeah. Hopefully a little bit of fuel and we'll know if this thing is running. So carb's bolted on anyway. Fuel line's hooked up. Chris has oil in it. Then we notice that the transmission is not spinning over in neutral. It's locking up at random points. Not a good situation, which we're all crazy, kind of nervous about. So we're gonna go in the museum, see if I can find an extra transmission. And then we're gonna try, if we do, Chris, we'll have to do like a world's fastest transmission swap. I don't even know that I have one, to be really honest. So, very good. How are you guys?
Great, how you doing?
All right, very good, man. We could be doing better, man. We're looking for a transmission.
Plenty of parts around here.
There's a lot of parts. That's what we're hoping. I know I got transmissions right there, but those are new old stock ones. All right, what do we got? 4-speed. See, these are 38, 39 transmissions. Look at those. Those are NOS. That's a potential transmission. Now that's a Servicar transmission. It's got reverse in it. We got VL, 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 4-speed, 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 4-speed. And then, oh, wait a minute. These guys here, these are Servi transmissions. And I think we can adapt it all. Ooh, that's pretty wore out. First gear, reverse. We could see how fast we can do a swap.
And the question is, with it already appearing worn out before we start, are we just asking for more trouble?
I know, we're just asking for more trouble. And then I put a transmission in that bike that's not even a...
Yeah, we're gonna have to do it again at some point.
We're
Put the
gonna
right
have to do it
transmission
again.
back in it.
Yeah, I think that's a bad idea. What about in here? Look, there's a whole bike. Can't take it out of a running bike.
Yeah.
Sometimes you lose. We're still gonna see. We're gonna see how bad we lost.
Well, at least if we can get it running, there's one bright spot in a dark day.
Yeah, so we're gonna try and salvage the day. See, I'm also worried about freaking running it and the transmission locking up, man,
Yeah.
which was, let's go back towards neutral. Okay, that's where we're gonna try and start. Let's see if we can blow something up. Here we are. Okay, so the truth comes out on why this thing doesn't have a chain. Let's see what happens. Fill that sucker up, Chris. Any guess on kicks, guys? My guess is 3 kicks.
I'll say 4, just to be different.
4 to be different. I think I hear spark. Okay, Chris, let's do this. We shall see. Oh, goodness. All that great stuff I said about this bike and all of the redeeming qualities. Any gas yet?
Nothing yet.
No gas.
I think I got. We got
You got a
some
little
now.
gas?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Give it 1, 2, 3 primes. Now you got gas?
Got gas.
Here we go. 1 kick. Hey. I don't know. Needs transmission work. Bow show.
Yeah.
Oh, man. You don't win them all. You know, it's a nice bike with big potential, but it's going to take a lot of time to turn this thing into a roadworthy motorcycle. Chris and I gave it a fighting shot here, getting it cranked up, be able to take it for a ride today. For me to feel comfortable and confident on this thing, you know, you gotta pull the trans, full trans rebuild. The engine's definitely low compression and it's tired out. You can hear it.
Yeah.
A lot of work to do. It's a challenge we just might be up for. I'm discouraged and I'm down, but I'm not out.
Yeah. We'll get it. It's just going to take longer than we thought.
Was it worth it?
That's the question. I think it'll be worth it when we're done. As of right now, it's easy to go want to cry in a corner. You know what though? I still think the bike's got a really cool look.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna do a motor job, you pep it up a little bit, you know, a little port work, maybe some hotter cams, maybe a few more cubic inches, and make a really good sleeper. So, okay, man, well, another motorcycle running, but not riding here at Wheels Through Time. A lot of work to do on this thing. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you guys check out either one of these 2 videos. Chris and I are gonna dive in. We'll see you next time.